So I get my first job. I got to West Virginia. You all seen the movie Deliverance? It's basically where I was. My father drops me off. Very proud moment for him. I'm getting my first opportunity in television. Drive around West Virginia a little bit, this small town. Looks at me, says, "Son, I love you. I'm proud of you. And if you want to live until July, don't tell anyone here you're Jewish." As you heard, my kids go to Krieger Schechter, and the Jewish education, it's really rubbed off on them. I was driving around with my son. He was 6 at the time, and we're driving by a pond, and he looks at the pond. He sees people fishing. He said, "Hey, Dad, look at all those people fishing. Are they fishing for gefilte fish?" And I thought, that's what you pay for a Jewish education for. But in the Jewish community, it was a very important story. It's about a decade ago. I'm sitting in the news office in a meeting, and the news director says, "Hey, anybody hear about this Jewish Jordan guy?" I said, "Huh?" He said, "Yeah, apparently there's this great Orthodox Jewish basketball player. They call the Jewish Jordan." I said, "I got that one." That's me. I'll take that story. So here's a snippet of what, for me, being Jewish, was a very powerful story to cover.
I'm trying to just get one eyeball in there to see.
To see who?
JJ?
JJ?
JJ, the Jewish Jordan?
AKA Tamir Goodman, who may truly be the greatest 17-year-old Orthodox Jewish basketball player since creation.
It's hard, it's very hard sometimes, but I always tell myself, you know, God, He created me to do this.
Tamir is so good he can shoot the lights out, literally.
Understand!
His coach raves.
I'd rather have him than not have him. I always watch him on film and go, boy, I'd hate to have to guard him.
Former NBA scout Paul Baker gushes.
He can compete with anyone in the nation.
He's a commercial waiting to happen. Kids don't want to be like Mike. They want to be like
Tamir Goodman. He goes.
Here we have to demonstrate to the outside world what the Orthodox religion is truly like.
The only question about Tamir, of what he could possibly do wrong, is to play on Shabbos, play on the Sabbath.
It's a day for you, your family, and God, and prayer.
So what about basketball?
No way.
Tamir Goodman was a great story. He was an inspiration to the Jewish community. Even now, a decade later, he actually, for those of you that don't know, he didn't end up going to Maryland because a lot of issues. Went to Taos, didn't work out, went and played professionally in Israel and came back. And actually last year, I think it was, actually did a clinic at Krieger Schechter. My son asked me about him. And I thought my son, who loves sports, loved the fact that someone valued his religion more than he valued his sports career. Art Modell. Art Modell fired Ted Marchibroda back in, late 1998. And so, holding a press conference, and Art was a funny guy. For those of you that don't know, Art's Jewish. And I don't think he makes a big issue of that. But so somebody says to him at the press conference, "Who would you hire? Who do you want to hire?" And Art says, "I'd hire Hitler if I thought he'd help us win." Ooh. So he got a lot of little oohs. Well, Art's in his 70s. Funny guy, great Jew. So after the press conference, his kid, David Modell, makes the rounds. "Hey, guys, you're not going to say anything about Art and the whole Hitler crack, right? He was just kidding, bad joke. Art's 70, whatever." So I don't know what anyone said, but David comes to me and says, I said, "I'm not going to say anything." He said, "Yeah." I said, "It's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the firing of Ted Marchibroda." So I go back and I don't put it in my story. I know Art. I like Art. Made a bad joke. Bad choice of words. So the next day, my news director, Steve, come in, said, "Hey, you did the Modell press conference yesterday, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Were you there when he made the Hitler crack?" I said, "Yeah, I was." He said, "How come you didn't put it in the story?" I said, "That's not what the story was." He said, "The Baltimore Sun had an article. Everyone was talking about it." He said, "I don't understand why you didn't do it." I said, "He's in his 70s. He made a joke. It was a bad joke. Are we now such a society that when someone invokes this terrible man's name, we have to blow it out of proportion, make a big deal? And he said, yeah, but the Sun had it. I said, okay, so the Sun is right then. The Sun did the story, so I'm wrong and they're right because I didn't do it. And he said, have anything with you to do with you being Jewish? I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but do you think maybe being Jewish clouded your judgment? I said, no, I think you not being Jewish clouded your judgment and everybody else's judgment. I think me being Jewish made me think straight about this and made me realize that the fact that Art Modell invoked Hitler's name doesn't mean he endorsed the killing of 6 million people, nor does he think as a Jewish guy that it wasn't the most awful thing in the world. He made a bad joke, and maybe if the other people had thought more like that, then we wouldn't have turned this into this big deal. And he said, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry, we're done. And that was it.